my travel experience around Southeast Asia. I started my backpacking solo trip in October 2023. I started my trip in the Netherlands and I flew from there to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I thought Malaysia was a really interesting, beautiful country. I managed to go to Kuala Lumpur, Ipoh, Georgetown and Langkawi, which is an island in the north of Malaysia. Experiencing Malaysia was really different to any country I had been to because I had never been to Asia before, and Asia is very different to England. When I arrived in Kuala Lumpur, I was very overwhelmed and quite scared to start a journey solo with a backpack, not knowing where I was going, who I was going to meet, and whether I would make friends. I went to so many different beautiful temples and national parks and beaches. It was so beautiful and I really enjoyed my time in Malaysia. The weather was so humid and hot and the people were really lovely. After Malaysia, I travelled from Langkawi, which is a very small island in the north of Malaysia, and I travelled from there to a small island called Koh Lipe in Thailand. And I started my trip around Thailand, the next country. So I did the islands of Thailand, Koh Lipe, Koh Lanta, Koh Phi Phi. Then I went to Krabi. I started making my way towards Bangkok, but I then stopped in Khao Sok and I went to the national park there, which was so beautiful. Then I went to a place called Parakkirikan, which is a really small, not very touristy place on the way to Bangkok. I loved a pad thai. I loved the curries, the Penang curry, the Thai curry, lots of different types of curries I tried, and they were so tasty, quite spicy, but I like spicy food sometimes. So then I made my way to Bangkok, and then I started my trip up to the north of Thailand. I went to Chiang Mai, Chiang Rai and Pai, and the north of Thailand was also so amazing and beautiful. The hills, the landscapes, it was more nature, no beaches in this part. And the people, once again, were so beautiful. I met so many lovely people on my travels. I stayed in hostels and I met people along the way, around my age, sometimes older, sometimes younger. And it was a really lovely experience because everybody was doing the same thing, so you could easily make friends. So I tried the food in Thailand. I have a favourite curry, khao soi. It was the best curry I've ever tasted.
Oh wow!
So much flavour, amazing. Then from the north of Thailand, I took a slow boat which took me into a country called Laos, and the slow boat took 2 days and you stop in places along the way to Laos. I thought that this was one of the best parts of my trip because it was really interesting to see between Thailand and Laos, and you would meet some people. Some of the children would come and wave at you and make conversation or try and sell some things to you. and it was beautiful nature. We saw elephants on the way, and it was a lovely way to travel instead of getting a really long bus to Laos. I went and done some hikes. I met some lovely people. We went to the different lagoons in Laos. I only went to 3 places in Laos as I didn't have enough time to see the north of Laos. So I went to Luang Prabang, Vang Vieng and Vientiane. Oh, it's difficult. Sorry if the pronunciation is not good. That's the city of Laos. I thought that Laos was so beautiful. The landscapes were amazing. After Laos, I flew to Hanoi in Vietnam. And Hanoi was probably my least favourite place because I don't like busy cities. It was very overwhelming and I was very sick when I arrived. So my experience in Hanoi was not so good. I was staying in a hostel and I had a really bad cold and I felt so sick I didn't really enjoy Hanoi. And I also got scammed when I was there on Christmas Day. He ended up cleaning my shoes and fixing them for me, and then he asked me for money. So this was near the lake in Hanoi. Apparently it's really common. That was the first and only time I have been scammed. However, if I ended up paying it, it was one time, and hopefully he spent it wisely feeding his family. So in a way, I feel happy I gave him the money. But from Hanoi, I went to Cat Ba. I thought Cat Ba was beautiful, and I went to Halong Bay as well. It was a really beautiful trip. I saw all of the lovely landscape of the mountains with the lake, and I went on a boat cruise. In Cat Ba, the beach wasn't very good because there was construction, but I met some lovely people and we spent New Year together. Then I went on a bus at 5 a.m. on New Year's Day and I went to Sapa. I did a 1-day trek with the Hmong tribe in Sapa, and it was one of the highlights of my trip. The lady that I did the trek with, she was so friendly, so kind, and I thought that she was so lovely. So we did a 1-day trek because it was around 12 degrees when I arrived, which is very cold after being in Hanoi and the other parts of the countries I went to. So I did a trek and then we had a lunch together, and it was so beautiful in Sapa, seeing the rice fields and trekking. I bought a purse from a lady. I bought this purse from the lady that she was actually following us on our trek, which is really common. Apparently a lot of the older ladies, they carry so much with them, all of these little handmade gifts, and they want for the tourists to buy them. And she followed us for the whole trek, which was maybe 4 hours. It makes me so sad that people have this life and that they have to do this to earn money. But I thought I would buy a purse from her. I also bought a few other things. She had beautiful handmade purses and little key rings, so I liked to support her in that way. After Sapa, I went and done the Haijiang Loop. So I went to the area of Haijiang. Haijiang Loop was another highlight of my trip. I did a 3-day motorbike loop with a company, a very small company, and it was with a very small group, which I really liked because I didn't want a massive group with lots of parties and lots of people. I like smaller groups. So we spent the days on the motorbike. I had an easy driver that was very young actually. And it was very beautiful. I love being outside, and I actually love being on a motorbike and seeing the scenery and just sitting and relaxing, enjoying the scenery. So we stopped in different places along the way and we saw little villages, and we stopped for drinks maybe every hour, and we stopped for lunch. Everything was included. The drinks were not included, but the homestays were all included in the price, as well as the motorbike and the easy driver and the food. But we stopped at cafes along the way. We stopped in the evenings, had dinner, and then we would stay at the homestay. I had my own private room. We would then in the evening have a nice fire, and then we would drink some beers, sing karaoke, and try happy water, which is rice wine. And then they would say, "Mo tai bai yo." It was a lovely experience. I loved Haizhang, and it was nice because you create such a lovely group of people and you spend every day with them, and you end up becoming really close with the easy drivers as well as the people you've met. The people I met were from France, and it was really nice to get to know them. So from Haizhang, I went to Hanoi, and then I went to Ninh Binh. Ninh Binh was so beautiful. I loved all of the greenery, and I did a trek up Tiger Mountain alone, which was actually so lovely. I walked from my hostel as well, which was maybe like a 2-hour walk, and then I walked up the mountain, and then I walked back to my hostel. It was, I decided to give myself a challenge, so I thought I would see how well I did. Because I didn't want to pay for a taxi, actually. And at that point, I hadn't tried driving a motorbike. So I thought it was the safest to just walk. After Ninh Binh, I went to Ho Chi Minh City. I had to miss out central Vietnam because the weather wasn't very good. So I would love to go back and see the central Vietnam, but I flew to Ho Chi Minh, and then I went to Vung Tau, which is a small place just below Ho Chi Minh City. And I loved Vung Tau. Then I went to Ho Chi Minh City, back there, and I stayed for about a week. I met some amazing people. Ho Chi Minh City is my favourite city in Vietnam. I thought it was a lot more organised in some ways. Of course, it's very busy in Ho Chi Minh, but the roads are bigger and it felt a lot more interesting to me. It didn't feel as busy in some ways, and I met some really lovely people, and we spent a few days in the hostel and we went around together and did some sightseeing. And I actually really loved Ho Chi Minh, so I want to go back again. It's not far from me. So I went from Ho Chi Minh, and then I flew to Phu Quoc, which is where I am now. And I love Phu Quoc. The island is beautiful, and there are palm trees, beaches, nature, and the food is really good. The seafood is amazing. I've had lots of pho, lots of spring rolls and goi cuon, which is fresh spring rolls, and I absolutely love the food. So from Phu Quoc I flew to Indonesia because I wanted to go and see my friend in Australia, so I flew to Bali in Indonesia. I went to Uluwatu and Ubud. I thought that these places that I visited in Bali were so beautiful. The beaches in Uluwatu were so nice. I loved it, and people were surfing. It reminded me a little bit of Australia with the surfing and the beaches. And the food in Indonesia was so tasty. So most of my trip in Bali was actually to relax a little bit after spending a lot of time traveling very fast. It became quite draining and tiring. So I spent 2 weeks in Bali just relaxing, reading, spending time at the beach, going to waterfalls, taking pictures because I really like photography. After Bali, I flew to Australia. I flew to Brisbane and I spent one night there before going on the bus to Byron Bay on the east coast of Australia. My friend was staying in Lennox Head, which is really close to Byron Bay. So she picked me up and I spent 10 days with her, catching up with her, going to the beach, meeting her 2 children, and spending lots of time with my friend. We went to school together in England and I hadn't seen her for 5 years, so it was a really beautiful time together. So after Australia, I flew back to Phuket because I loved it so much, and spent a little bit more time there before I flew back to England to save a little bit and to relax. And then I decided to come back to Phuket to teach English. I thought my trip around Southeast Asia was very empowering. It helped me to build more confidence. It helped me to be more social. And most of all, I thought that it was so amazing to experience so many countries in Asia. I liked to travel quite slow. I liked my own space. I didn't do too much partying. I mostly went sightseeing, went to the beaches and relaxed and tried all of the amazing food. I hope you enjoyed my travel story.